In the shadows of Salem, Massachusetts, a town already haunted by its infamous witch trials, another dark secret had been festering for generations. On October 17, 1998, local residents Matthew and Sarah Collins disappeared without a trace. The young couple, both 23, had been high school sweethearts who returned to their hometown after college to renovate a Victorian house on Proctor Street, a property that had been in Matthew's family for over a century. The disappearance shocked the small community. The Collins were last seen leaving Bridget's Diner on Main Street around 9 p.m. that Friday. Their car was found parked in their driveway, doors unlocked, Sarah's purse still on the passenger seat. Inside the house, 2 cups of tea sat cold on the kitchen table. There were no signs of struggle, no evidence of foul play. It was as if they had simply vanished into thin air. They were happy making plans, recalled Martha Jenkins, the waitress who served them that night. Matthew was talking about converting the attic into a nursery. Sarah was glowing. There were rumors she might be pregnant. The initial investigation was intense but fruitless. Detective James Harrington, who led the case, found that the couple's bank accounts remained untouched, their passports were still in their dresser drawer, and neither had contacted family or friends. The community organized search parties, combing through the dense woods surrounding Salem, dragging the local lake, but nothing turned up. As weeks turned into months, the case gradually went cold. Some speculated they had run away, seeking escape from small-town life. Others whispered about darker fates. The house on Proctor Street remained untouched, becoming overgrown and dilapidated, a visible reminder of the unsolved mystery that hung over Salem like a shroud. What nobody knew then was that the Collins disappearance was merely the surface of a much deeper, more disturbing secret, one that had been carefully guarded by certain families in Salem for generations, a secret that would not be revealed until 18 years later, when a real estate developer purchased the abandoned property and a worker made a chilling discovery in the sealed-off attic. Check if you're already subscribed to this channel. The stories we uncover are based on real cases that mainstream media refuses to cover, dark family secrets that expose the disturbing reality hiding behind closed doors in seemingly normal communities. October 3, 2016. Salem had changed over the 18 years since the Collins disappeared. The witch trial tourism had expanded, bringing more outsiders to the once insular community. Many of the older residents had passed away, taking their memories and their secrets to the grave. The house on Proctor Street had fallen into severe disrepair. After years of being tied up in legal limbo, it was finally purchased by Northeast Development, a company specializing in restoring historic properties. Their plan was to renovate the Victorian home and convert it into a bed and breakfast to capitalize on Salem's tourist trade. Miguel Ramirez, a 34-year-old contractor, was assigned to assess the structural integrity of the attic. The access door had been sealed shut with multiple layers of paint, Miguel later testified. It took me nearly an hour to break through. The wood had been reinforced from the inside. Someone didn't want that attic opened. When Miguel finally breached the door, the musty smell that greeted him was overwhelming. The attic was surprisingly well preserved compared to the rest of the house and meticulously organized. Old furniture had been pushed to the walls, making space for a large table covered with yellowed papers, family photographs, and genealogy charts dating back to the 1700s. But what caught Miguel's attention was a trunk in the corner, locked with a heavy padlock. When he pried it open, he found dozens of journals, all written in the same careful handwriting. The earliest was dated 1843, the latest 1998, the year the Collins disappeared. I started reading the most recent journal, Miguel recalled. After a few pages, I knew I needed to call the police. The journals belonged to Eleanor Collins, Matthew's grandmother, who had died in 1996. In meticulous detail, they documented a disturbing family tradition spanning over 150 years, a deliberate practice of consanguineous marriages designed to preserve the bloodline of what Eleanor referred to as Salem's first family. The final journal ended abruptly with an entry dated October 16, 1998, the day before Matthew and Sarah disappeared. It read, "Matthew has discovered the truth about his heritage, about Sarah. He's threatening to expose everything. I should never have given him the key to the attic. The others are right. The secret must be protected at all costs." Detective Lisa Morales, assigned to reinvestigate the cold case, noted, "The journals were disturbing enough, but what we found behind the false wall was what turned this from a historical family scandal into a modern horror story. As Detective Morales and her team meticulously examined the attic's contents, the full picture of the Collins family's dark history began to emerge. The genealogy charts revealed a deliberately constructed family tree where cousins married cousins for generations, occasionally bringing in an outsider only to strengthen the genetic line before resuming the practice. The Collins weren't just practicing consanguinity, they were calculating it, explained Dr. Eleanor Watkins, a genetic specialist consulted by the police. The journals show they were selectively breeding within their family, trying to preserve what they believed were special traits. They kept detailed records of physical characteristics, intellect, even temperament. It was eugenics within a single family line. The journals revealed that this practice had begun in the 1840s, when Jeremiah Collins, a wealthy merchant, became obsessed with the idea that his family carried superior blood. Convinced that mixing with other bloodlines would dilute their special qualities, he arranged marriages between his children and their cousins. This tradition continued through the generations, becoming increasingly secretive as public understanding of genetics and the dangers of inbreeding grew. By the 1960s, the Collins family had developed elaborate covers for their arrangements, creating false identities and documentation to hide the true relationships between family members. Children were often sent away to be raised by distant relatives, only to return later as unrelated marriage partners. The most disturbing revelation came when investigators found a hidden compartment containing medical records. These documented the physical and mental toll of generations of inbreeding. Children born with severe genetic disorders, developmental disabilities, and distinctive physical abnormalities. Many didn't survive to adulthood. Those who did were kept hidden from public view. What happened to these children? Detective Morales asked during a press conference. That's the question that led us to expand our investigation beyond just the disappearance of Matthew and Sarah Collins. If you've been feeling disgusted by what this family did, type "Justice for the Collins children" in the comments below. Every comment helps expose these dark histories that continue to affect communities today. As investigators dug deeper into the case, they made a shocking discovery about Sarah Collins, née Parker. She wasn't simply Matthew's high school sweetheart. She was his first cousin, though neither of them knew it. Sarah had been adopted as an infant by the Parker family, who had moved to Salem from Boston when she was 5 years old. Her adoption records had been sealed, but DNA testing of preserved samples from the attic revealed the truth. Sarah was the daughter of Matthew's aunt, Clara Collins, who had supposedly died childless in a car accident in 1975. Clara didn't die in 1975, Detective Morales explained. According to Eleanor's journals, she was sent to a private facility in Vermont after becoming pregnant by her brother, Matthew's father. The family arranged for the baby to be adopted by the Parkers, distant associates who were paid handsomely to move to Salem years later so that Matthew and Sarah would meet naturally. This deliberate orchestration of what appeared to be a random romance was, according to Eleanor's journals, part of the grand design to strengthen the Collins bloodline while avoiding the appearance of impropriety. Matthew and Sarah had been manipulated their entire lives, puppets in a generations-old experiment. The journals indicated that Eleanor had second thoughts in her final years. She began leaving clues for Matthew to find, perhaps hoping he would discover the truth and end the cycle. When Matthew found the key to the attic and discovered the family's secret, including his true relationship to Sarah, he confronted several family elders at a meeting on October 16, 1998. Matthew was devastated, read an entry from Richard Collins, Matthew's uncle, found among the papers. He threatened to go to the authorities, to expose everything. Sarah was hysterical when she learned she was carrying a child that would likely suffer from genetic abnormalities. They both became unpredictable, dangerous to our family's continuation. The final pieces of the puzzle came together when investigators expanded their search to properties owned by extended Collins family members. On a remote piece of land 40 miles from Salem, ground-penetrating radar revealed what appeared to be 2 adult-sized graves. We believe Matthew and Sarah were murdered by their own family members to protect the secret of generations of incestuous relationships, Detective Morales stated. The family couldn't risk exposure, not after more than 150 years of carefully maintaining their facade. The excavation of the remote Collins property confirmed the investigators' worst fears. 2 bodies were recovered, Identified through dental records as Matthew and Sarah Collins, forensic examination revealed both had died from poisoning, likely administered in the tea found still sitting on their kitchen table 18 years earlier. The investigation expanded rapidly, uncovering more victims of the Collins family's dark practices. 3 additional bodies were found on the property, identified as children born with severe genetic abnormalities between 1960 and 1985. Medical examiners determined they had died from neglect, rather than direct violence, hidden away and denied proper medical care. This wasn't just about consanguinity, explained Dr. Watkins. This was a family that viewed genetic purity as more important than human life. The physical effects of their inbreeding practices, the facial asymmetry, the distinctive malformations of the hands, the neurological issues, became increasingly severe with each generation. Rather than stop, they simply disposed of the evidence. As news of the discoveries spread, other towns across New England began reopening cold cases involving missing persons and unexplained deaths connected to branches of the Collins family. In total, 17 arrests were made of surviving family members who had participated in either the consanguineous practices or the cover-ups that followed. The most senior surviving member, 86-year-old Virginia Collins, provided a chilling statement during her arraignment. "You think you're judging us, but we're the last of America's true bloodlines. We preserved what others diluted. In 100 years, history will vindicate us." The case sent shockwaves through the genetic research community, becoming one of the most comprehensive documented examples of deliberate consanguinity and its devastating effects. Medical researchers identified a distinctive pattern of genetic markers, now known as Collins syndrome, characterized by specific cranial malformations and neurological impairments. For Salem, a town that had worked for centuries to move beyond its dark history, the Collins case opened old wounds and created new ones. Tourism temporarily declined as visitors were reminded that human monsters, not mythical witches, had stalked these streets. The house on Proctor Street was ultimately demolished, the land converted into a memorial garden for the victims of the Collins family. A small plaque bears witness to Matthew and Sarah's tragic story, 2 young people who discovered too late that their love had been manufactured as part of a disturbing experiment spanning generations. The truly terrifying thing about this case, reflected Detective Morales at the memorial's dedication, is that it happened in plain sight. How many other secrets are buried in attics and basements across America, waiting to be discovered? If you watched all the way to the end, it's because you're drawn to these dark, hidden stories that reveal the truth about human nature. Leave a comment saying, "I watched until the end," so I can get to know you and understand who truly appreciates the stories on this channel. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video so others can learn about the dark secrets that history tries to bury, but that must be exposed for justice to be served.